Hello everyone, my name is Adam Meicher. I'm the Technical Pre-Sales Director here in AV System. We are the ACS vendor since 2006. And today I'd like to talk about new trends in the ACS deployments, which we see over the years, and now due also to coronavirus, some of the devices are more important than the others. So what I'd like to talk about is the new device types which we have in the ACS platforms currently. Then I'd like to focus on the ones which are rapidly growing right now, like Wi-Fi mesh and IPTV set-top boxes. And also later, I'd like to talk about a little bit about new features for the end users. So this is a little bit related with the new world which we are living with all the remote jobs and a lot of stuff moving online. And also at the end, how the TR69 is handling these new requirements, because of course we have some extensions like TR369, but still vast majority of devices are using the good old TR69 protocol. So initially, when I was even starting working here in AV System, TR69 was not really very spread around, but now this is, let's say, a standard. So each ISP, basically when they are buying new device type, they want TR69 on board. And this also applies to new device types. This 10 years back, let's say, TR69 was just available mainly on the modems. Right now, we have it available on many different device types, including Wi-Fi repeaters, PLC devices, Wi-Fi mesh devices, and of course, IPTV set-top boxes. We also have some other devices where TR69 is actually on board. We are also offering, as AV System, we are offering the TR69 library for devices themselves. So we see that there is a huge demand for even different device types on this matter. So with Wi-Fi mesh, this is a bit related with the smart Wi-Fi optimization from the previous presentation. We see that Wi-Fi is becoming more and more important for the households, because simply if someone is working remotely, he needs to have very good Wi-Fi coverage, no problems with the service, no outages, and no interference with different channels. Of course, we can do it. We can do the optimization on the gateway level with these periodic scans and trying to find the best channel for this particular device. Even trying to aggregate devices in the specific building, for example. But still, in some cases, we need to have just Wi-Fi repeaters or Wi-Fi mesh, which is quite easy to be installed. So with this Wi-Fi mesh approach, we see that many mesh devices are also supporting TR69, and this introduces even more complex device management, as we need to manage multiple devices in terms of Wi-Fi optimization, not only one single device, which was usually the gateway. With this, we need to also show this to the customer care agents for the ISP to manage these devices, and also handle the NAT issues, which are right now handled with either XMPP or STAN extensions to TR69. For the customer care, of course, we need to present the data in a way that they will understand how is the network set up at the customer premises. So for this, we had to, of course, extend our ACS, and also other ACSs need to show this kind of Wi-Fi mesh topology, Wi-Fi mesh network. And this topology is, of course, taken from TR69 parameters, and this is presented in the ACS view. On top of the Wi-Fi mesh development, we also have more parameters available for gateways and the devices connected to them. Nowadays, on many modern device types, we have parameters which are indicating the Wi-Fi signal strength per host basis. We have parameters which can tell us more about the Wi-Fi quality on per host basis. Like 5 years ago, it was still very difficult. There were not too many devices which had these parameters on board. So even if ACS was able to handle this, it was not really the case because it was not available on the devices. But now on the newer devices, the ones which are now deployed in the networks, we have all of this information, and we can present it to the customer care agent, even to the self-management user of the ACS, to show how is their network state in terms of Wi-Fi. Another big spike in interest we see in IPTV world. This is probably also related with some new regulations coming in European Union, because this applies right now mostly to Europe, that we see a lot of IPTV projects coming in. IPTV had some interest like 6 years ago, at least from our experience, but later it went a little bit down. This was usually due to the quite bad implementation of TR135. So basically, the problem was that there was already ready software for the IPTV set-top box, for which the manufacturer had some kind of resources prepared, right? And then if we wanted to add some additional functionalities like TR69 protocol handling all these counters, it was just not fitting the current hardware on the set-top boxes, right? And everyone, as we know, manufacturers want to have limited resources just to sell cheaper, and from ISP perspective, this is also beneficiary. So that was quite of an issue, that the TR135 was not really well implemented. And also, usually manufacturers were just selling their own systems together with the set-top boxes. And so they were selling their own IPTV set-top box with bundled monitoring platform to do this all this monitoring for the IPTV service. Right now, it is changing because the ISPs want to have some unified management. It comes across everything, so fiber, DSL, and also IPTV. So they want to have single system which will handle multiple device types. And here the TR69 is really good because of its very good business definitions. So for example, it is said how the firmware upgrade should be done. There is no let's say vendor specific stuff done for this like it is in SNMP. And that's why this is IPTV is getting back to TR69, and now we see that also on devices the TR135 is better implemented, and we can show this data, we can monitor this data in the ACS. Another big part which is seen now in the IPTV is Android package management. TR69 originally actually didn't have very good support for this. We just had the firmware upgrade, and that was it. But vendors implement even some custom flows into the TR69. So it is possible to manage the Android packages via TR69 and our download methods. And with that, we are able to show and manage what kind of applications are installed there on the IPTV set-top box. On top of this, of course, we have full capabilities for the monitoring, because if we have a TR69 on board, then we can connect the device, and even without TR135 support, we can do some basic diagnostics, which is quite simple for set-top boxes, like uptime versus software version. Usually, when people have issues with their set-top boxes, they are rebooting them frequently, right? So we are showing some KPIs just to show the performance of the specific software version versus the number of reboots, which is very nice KPI to define if this particular software version is good for this set-top box. Now, regarding the new features for gateways, of course, we are talking here about the smart home, like smart locks, smart refrigerators, and so on. But we see that there are more requests now from our customers to implement new features on existing gateways. One of them is the parental control, for example, right? Because all the children, well, a vast majority of children were learning remotely. Parents wanted to have better control over them, what they are doing with their computers, which when they can access the internet. So this gave some new use cases into the remote management. So for example, we have implementations in TR69 for the time-based access control when this particular host can connect to the internet, what hosts can have access to the Wi-Fi. With this, the parent can control what their children are doing, and they can control it even from their self-management application. So this is not only now important from the ISP perspective, but we are also giving the self-management application to the end users to manage their own device remotely. On top of this, we of course have the URL filtering. So this blocks can be done directly on the gateway. This of course needs some support on the gateways, but as I said, many device manufacturers are currently implementing these new features because well, ISPs, big ISPs, they're requiring this, and they are just changing the software of the gateways. On top of the standard zero-touch services, which usually we have triple play, right? Internet, voice, and IPTV. We have additional capabilities for configuration, for example, firewall. It may sound simple, but sometimes this firewall configuration helps us a lot also for the security. As some of the viruses which were attacking gateways, we know which ports are used for their internal communication. So when we detect that the port is opened on the device, we can easily close it on the firewall of the CPE itself. So we actually fixed this a few times with our ACS, that we just closed the controlling port of the DDoS and just made the virus go away. So how all of these new features are handled by manufacturers? Manufacturers usually have a very custom approach. As we all know, the protocol specifies a lot of things quite good, and they are going along with that. But sometimes the customizations are done even just for the single customer, right? So we need to deal with many custom parameters, many custom flows, and on the ACS, side, we need to be very flexible to be able to handle this. Long story short, right? Some of the vendors also implement different protocols, but usually it is done in a way that they just configure and implement the custom TR69 parameters or RPCs. There are also new problems into TR69 management due to this Wi-Fi mesh devices connecting. They are behind NAT, and they are usually not using the management VLAN, for example, right? So this gives us some new problems because we need to have connectivity over public internet, as the gateway is not aware that the Wi-Fi mesh is not actually should connect over the management VLAN, right? So here we have more use cases for the XMPP stan. For IPTV set-top boxes, they have very big firmware upgrades, like over 700 megabytes. This is something what was not happening for gateways, where we have around 50 megabytes firmware files. So this is another challenge which we need to do with the to fix with the ACS. This custom firewall configuration, this also is let's say somewhat of a problem, which sometimes we need to fix from the network layer. For example, connection request port, ISPs are doing it on single port, so they know from where the device is connecting, and they can allow this on their firewall policies. So how we are solving this in the AV system solution in our ACS, we have dialects which can be configured on the fly, and they can map any vendor-specific settings to the generic virtual data model. We have panels which can be defined in the runtime configuration wizards, and also a script support for writing some custom handlers and just handling all of these custom methods. We also have full support for STAN and XMPP to handle these devices which are behind NAT. Also, we have multi-protocol support. This is something what ACSs are also leaning towards, that there will be multiple protocols supported. It can be even applied to TR69 and TR369, right? There are, let's say, similar protocols, but from the functionality perspective, TR369 is implementing a lot of modern mechanics. Of course, we also have self-management module where we can just have the application for the end customers to allow them to control all the parental controls and just control fully their gateway, and even run some diagnostics locally. Okay, thank you.